Before we start this review of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I just want to give like an announcement because since I'm still in school and stuff, I'm sad to say that I am going to release these reviews less often because school takes a lot of my time. So I will still do these. Don't worry, I will still do these, but expect them to come out less often and less frequently. And I will try to crank them out as often as I can. I'd probably change the schedule. Maybe like every 2 weeks I might release one, or whenever I'm ready to release one, I'll release one. But don't worry, I will still do these because I do enjoy making these. If you're worried about I'm going to stop, no, I'm not going to stop because the grind never stops for me to review games. And I'm still on a mission to basically tell you the truth about games. So I'm not going to stop on my mission. It might be less frequent now, but I'll still be doing this. And honestly, I just want to thank you guys for the support. I just want to thank you guys for helping me through my journey. And with that, let's get started with the review of Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you played the original Final Fantasy VII game, you know that this game is one of like the most legendary games out there, and it's the most well-known one, and I could see why, because I played the original and I love the original. And when I heard like a few years back when they were gonna remake this whole thing again, I was super excited because I love Final Fantasy VII. I love the characters, I love its story. It's freaking fantastic. It's a masterpiece, this freaking game. And with its updated graphics and updated story, I was just super excited to see what Square Enix would do to basically revamp the series now. Because this is a remake, so they're going to start changing stuff. They're going to basically create almost a new story, kinda. And honestly, I'm excited to see what they're able to come up with. First off, the graphics in this game are stunning. It's unbelievable how far graphics have come in such a short period of time. Like, we're getting to the point where these like character models look absolutely real, and it's freaking awesome how good all of the character models are, all of the special effects, like just everything in terms of graphics. This game freaking nailed, and I'm so glad that they really went all out on this, because this game is very special to a lot of people, so they really didn't want to disappoint, and this game does not disappoint. And besides from the visuals of this game, the music in this game is absolutely fantastic. It's unbelievable how good the music is in this game. If you're like me, I love the original soundtrack from the original game, and in this game they revamped it by giving it like an orchestra feel. It feels a lot more epic, and it's honestly beautiful, the entire soundtrack all the way through the entire game. And honestly, like, this is just masterclass when it comes to sound design, and it's just unbelievable how good a soundtrack is. I'm gonna say this right off the bat. Is it better than the original? I'm gonna say yes and no, but I will get into more detail about that later. But first, let's talk about its updated combat system. And this combat system is the best thing that they could have done. Because me personally, I don't like turn-based games. I've never really liked them that much, because I'm not really into turn-based stuff. I want to be more involved in the action, and in this game it did a perfect combination of taking combat mechanics of turn-based and combining them with like the hack and slash genre and putting them together to make this perfect combination of a great combat system. It just melded them together and it's absolutely perfect. The ways that you basically get like your turn-based stuff is that while you're in combat, while you're doing your regular moves, you get like the slow-mo kind of thing. Like for PlayStation, you press X and time slows down and you see your little menu where you can cast your spells, cast the different abilities, and use your items and summon and all that kind of stuff. And while you're doing that, you can actually command your party members to be able to do certain special abilities while you're fighting someone, and you can switch between them, which is absolutely cool, because you can basically let's say Cloud, you use his braver attack and then you switch to Tifa, and then you can do other stuff while Cloud is doing that. Or if, let's say, one of your party members, like their health is super low, but you don't have like a spell equipped on you, or you don't have something to heal them, you can just use their ATB, which is like the stuff you can use your abilities with. You can tell them, hey, you should use an item, and then they use the item on themselves, and while they do that, you can take care of what was hurting them. And honestly, it just leaves a lot of room for you to play however you want. This leaves like a lot of room. It makes combat more it makes it more fluid. It makes everything more better overall, because as I said before, I don't like turn-based combat. I really don't like it that much. It's not my thing. And in this one, it was just absolutely great how they're able to nail this. Like, combat was so much fun. Like, for me, there was never really a dull moment when it came in terms of combat. Like, visually, it looks freaking stunning. All the moves, all the particle effects, it looks absolutely great when you're in the heat of combat, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And honestly, I don't think they could have done it any better, but I will talk about that because first, I don't know how, but they made the combat even way better in freaking the Yuffie episode. Well, I would talk about later. And honestly, I gotta say it, Tifa looks hot in this game. I don't freaking care. I admit it, she's hot. But besides that, she was actually a lot of fun to play as. Yeah, like every single character felt unique in their own way. Barrett was the long range one, but he has like certain close range ones. Tifa and Cloud are your main offensive ones. Tifa has like her chi trap that you can place down. She has like the star shower one where it can hit multiple targets if you do it right. Then just Cloud having a lot of his old moves from his original, like from the original game. You have Aerith, is your other long range one where she's your magic support. And then Red isn't playable. I wish she was playable. It would have been freaking awesome to play as Red. The command mechanic in this game is very smooth. It's very fluid. You can do that at any moment. There's shortcuts for you to do faster commands. It's honestly super well done overall. And the best thing about this game is the tons of enemies that you can go out of your way to freaking fight. There's so many freaking monsters, soldiers, like fucking spirits at one point. There's so much stuff for you to fight. There's secret stuff that you can go out of your way to look for. You can even fight the freaking the summons. You can fight the summons in order to acquire them. And even those boss fights on their own were very fun. Aside from your combat, a lot of the stuff that is familiar to us in terms of the original game, a lot of it comes back. You have your materia, all of your items, all of your summons, and you're something that has changed, but this is a good way to do it because it's this RPG and they just elevated it a little bit more. You can actually upgrade your weapons because every character has a certain weapon they can use, and there's a bunch of different weapons that you can use, and each weapon has their own special move that if you use it like a certain amount of times, you'll be able to gain the move, and then after that you can switch to a different weapon, and then you can grind to get that move and then get to another weapon, and you repeat that process. But aside from that, you can actually upgrade your stats, your attack, your magic power. You can upgrade all your stats in like this new like mechanic thing that they added, where every single weapon has their very own attribute system, and each weapon does something different. One may be more offense, one may be more like magical power, where certain types of magic do more damage, or you get more magic defense based on what kind of weapon you're using. And there's a lot of different ways for you to approach the game. There's a lot of different ways for you to basically try a lot of weapons, or you stick to a certain play style. Maybe you want to be more offensive and not rely on your spells that much, and you save resources, you can do that. Or if you want to just dominate almost the entire playthrough, because magic in this game is fucking strong. It's super strong, the magic. And if you want to use magic, you can do that. Or you can do a little bit of both and try to keep yourself balanced as much as you can. And a lot of the materia that we already know is still in this game. Sure, the only things that I've haven't noticed there is the all materia, where you can combine the all materia to specific materia. And if you don't know what that does, if you put an all materia and let's say a fire one next to each other, it attacks everyone with a single spell. But in this one, they didn't really do that, or they didn't do it with like the elemental thing, where you get like an element materia and you combine it with like a fire one, and then your sword has fire effects. They didn't do that, but even though that's just like the little things they didn't add from the original, but even though they didn't add that, it was still a lot of fun for you to go out of your way to look for all the different types of materia that you're very familiar with. Or even if you're a new player, you can still go out of your way to look for everything and see what everything does. The only thing about combat that I wish they could have just kept was the summons, because even though there is like the summon materia in this game, you have Aether, you have Shiva, you have Bahamut, which is the dragon one, you have Ruma, I think his name is, the wizard dude, the lightning one, you have him, you have the chocobos, you have like a lot of the familiar ones. But the thing is, you can't summon them during battle whenever you want, because I remember in the original you can do that, you can summon them whenever you want. It costs a lot of magic for you to summon them, but you can do them anyways. But in this one, you only able to summon your materia only during boss fights. But the good thing is that the summons are very strong, like way stronger if you compare them to the original, except for the Knights of the Round Table, because if you know Knights of the Round Table, that summon was the strongest summon in the entire game in the original one. They're not in this one, unfortunately. But still, like, the summons are very strong and they'll help you in battle, and you can give them the commands, or they just straight up help you in battle no matter what. There's some of them just do straight up attacks, some of them are supports, like there was the dog one, I forgot the name, but that one heals you during battle and gives you more protection as the battle goes on. And there's freaking special moves when they go away. They look super cool. Like Ifrits and Shivas look freaking awesome. They're like when they're about to go away, like the summon animation for that was so freaking cool. And like artistically, they went all out on everything. Like, I'm gonna keep mentioning about the graphics, because this is fucking ridiculous how good this game looks. And then you have all your items that you can use. A lot of the items that you're familiar with come back in this one, like your ether, the turbo ether, the elixir, the potions, the mega potion, all that comes back in here. A lot of it returns. A lot of this stuff is very familiarized. A lot of this stuff really does help you remember the good old times of the original game. In terms of content, there's actually a lot of stuff that you can do here. There's like surprisingly a lot of stuff because this game is mainly story based, but there's a lot of stuff that you can actually do outside of like the main story. There's stuff like you can go to Walmart, do like the arena they have there. There's like a bunch of side missions that you can do. There's like in the Yuffie episode, there's like a lot of stuff you can do there. They added like a chess game kind of thing. It's very reminiscent of the Phoenix mission in the original, where it was like the balloon, like the little balloon tower defense kind of thing, where you put down your enemies to protect the Phoenix. That returns in the Yuffie episode. Unfortunately, it's only in the Yuffie episode, but it was actually a lot of fun playing that game because I remember playing it in the original, and it was kind of hard, that game. And for it to return, I was very surprised and very happy to see that they really went out of their way to try to appeal to the people that played the original. And a lot of the other stuff that I thought they could have made are just little nitpicks here and there. Like, you can't choose your party members, you can't choose who's in your party, it's a set thing. And Red isn't playable. I don't know why Red 13 isn't playable. They should have made him playable. But other than that, this game is freaking amazing. Like, I was just so surprised on how good they were able to recreate a lot of the memories that I've had when I played the original. Now let's talk about story. The story does change a lot in this one. I know that this is a remake, so I expected them to basically have leeway in terms of story. I expected them to change stuff here and there. And honestly, I really do like the changes. I really do like how they expanded on certain characters. Like, they expanded on Biggs, Jesse, Wedge. They expanded on them because I remember in the original they were just there, and they were like seemed like very important like people in Avalanche. So that for them to expand the characters, I really did like it. I really did fall in love with these characters. I really liked how they expanded on the Midgar section, because the Midgar section was only 2 hours in the original, and in this one the Midgar section is the whole game. And I really liked how they expanded on it. They expanded on like this, like Sector 7. They expanded on Sector 5, because Midgar was like a crucial place in the original, but they never really expanded on like just like Midgar itself. And then for them to go out of their way to stretch it out was very, very welcoming. Sure, they may have stretched it a little too long, but honestly, it didn't really matter because I enjoyed it the whole way through. I really just enjoyed the entire experience. And the best part about the story is that there's actually alternate cutscenes, because I played this game twice on normal and on hard, and turns out there's actually alternate cutscenes. Like, there's the scene where Aerith gets her dress. There's one where it's like fireworks. You see like Aerith, that she's pretty and stuff. And then there's the other version where like she gets like a shittier dress and she looks like all dirty. And then there's like an alternate one where if you go up like 50 flights of stairs, they say something different. There's like alternate versions of cutscenes that honestly welcome replayability if you want to see them. And it was actually pretty funny seeing like different outcomes if you do certain things. And the boss fights in this game are freaking awesome. Like, I enjoyed the boss fights so much in this game. They're very stylized, they're very fun. They're also pretty challenging sometimes. And I just like the boss fights are straight up like the best thing in this game. I really liked how they went a little further in terms of making the level design in terms of boss fights. It was really a lot of fun for you to constantly switch between characters, constantly switch between what spells, trying to figure out their weaknesses, always thinking on your toes, always trying to figure out the weakness of the enemy if you don't have the assessment material. Because in this game, it really does make you feel like you have to pay attention at all times. You have to pay attention to your party's health. You have to pay attention to how much magic they have. You have to pay attention to how many enemies are in the area. You have to pay attention on what spells you're using, what abilities you're using, if you're using the right ones for the right situation. It's always about being prepared in this game. It's always about managing your materia, managing your abilities, because sometimes, just like in the original, you're going to be put in situations where it switches to another character, and then you have to switch out the materia. So you always have to be aware on who has what, because it's like Cloud has the fire materia fully upgraded, but then he's not playable for a little bit, and then you have to switch him out. You have to always be aware. You have to always be attentive on what your setup is, because there's a lot of ways for you to set up your materia, set up your ability, set up your items. There's a lot of ways for you to set this up. You can basically play how you want. You can basically play in certain ways. You can try different builds. You can try different weapons. Like, there's a lot of replayability here that I recommend you play. And honestly, if you really want a challenge, I recommend you play on hard mode, because on hard mode you can't use any items, which makes the game like 10 times harder, because items are very important in this game. And when I played on hard mode, I raged a lot because I really wanted to have my items back. But a tip I can give you if you're trying to do the hard mode run is use revival earrings, because you can't use the Phoenix down, because the Phoenix down is the revival item. If you don't know, you can just use revival earrings as a substitute, and you can just buy a bunch of them, because they don't count as items, they're accessories, so you can just cheese it that way. But if you do try on hard mode, I'd say be prepared, because it was fucking ridiculous how hard it was. Even though I was using the progress from my first playthrough, it was still really, really challenging, because the enemies do a lot of damage, and chapters feel super long in between benches. And in this game, the benches heal your freaking health and your magic on normal. And honestly, after playing this game, I appreciate benches more. I appreciate them more because they're basically your freaking lifesaver in between chapters on hard mode. Let's talk about the additional episode that came out after release. But recently, the Intergrade version of the game came out, which was the PS5 version that I played the second time. And with that, it came with an entire new episode, the Yuffie episode. If you don't know who Yuffie is, Yuffie was a secret character in the original game that you could just find out of nowhere, and she had no real purpose in the game. If you didn't find her, there was no big deal. The story goes on as is. In this game, they're making her more integrated into the story, which I liked, because I liked Yuffie's personality in the original game, and I liked seeing her get more exposure, because she was a fun character in the original. She was a lot of fun to use, and in this game they made her a lot better here. I liked the character. I liked the new addition of Sonon. He's probably from another game, but I probably don't know. I haven't really played the other Final Fantasy 7, so if he is there, then he is. If he isn't, he isn't. And the combat for that episode, honestly, that combat is way better compared to the Cloud and everyone else's, because Yuffie is a lot of fun to play. They really did make her play style a lot more fun, because she has the ninja star, and if you throw it, she catches up to it, which makes you more mobile. Because in the original game, the first part of the game, you're kind of limited to mobility, because Cloud feels kind of slow. Tifa was the faster one, and your mobility was a little bit limited. But in this one, Yuffie just flies across the freaking screen, because if she throws her ninja star, you can press triangle in my case, and she is able to close the gap between you and the star, which creates a lot more variety in gameplay, because you can just basically go all in and not worry about getting hit, because you could just throw the ninja star out of the way and you can just catch up to it without taking any damage. And with the addition of Sonon, the only thing I didn't like is that you can't play as Sonon, which was very strange to me, because you can upgrade his weapons, you can upgrade his materia, he's basically a full-on character that it's supposed to be playable, but he's not, which I thought was very strange why it didn't make Sonon playable, because all the moves are there, all the spells are there, all of the animations are there, but they don't let you use them, which I wish they did, because he looked like a lot of fun to play as, but you couldn't get to play as him, which honestly was a misstep, because Sonon seemed pretty cool. Sonon, even though it was a short segment, like, because the Yuffie episode is only like 4 hours, so it was a very short section, but I did like Sonon as a character and I wanted to use him. But besides that, it was actually a lot of fun, the Yuffie episode. I liked the story. It left on like a major cliffhanger that kind of just stopped like suddenly. And honestly, for me, I hate when games just stop abruptly without explaining anything, because to me that's just sequel baiting, and I don't really like it when things sequel bait. I want to see stuff resolved now, not later, if it's possible. But besides that, the Yuffie episode was a lot of fun. The major mechanic that I wish that was integrated into the main game is the synergy, because in the Yuffie episode you get a synergy mechanic where you and Sonon are synergized and you follow each other. Whatever Yuffie goes, Sonon goes. Whenever Yuffie attacks, he attacks. And it's like a combination of them two targeting a single target. Because in the main game, it's kind of hard for you to focus on one enemy if there are multiple enemies, because your partners will automatically go for a specific target that's the closest to them. Sure, you can command them to hit a certain target, but then after that they kind of just do their own thing and basically try to help you hit everyone at once. But I kind of like this synergy mechanic better because it allows you to focus on certain enemies and take them down quicker without you having to worry about constantly commanding them to get closer to you. And I really wish they added that, because it was a lot more fun and it was a lot more smooth for me to just synergize with Sonon and automatically just go all in on the one target without having to worry about the other one. Overall, I do like the changes they're making. I do like how they're expanding the lore a little bit. They're expanding everything. I know some people don't like that they're changing stuff, but honestly, I don't really mind them changing stuff as long as it's good and as long as it's at this quality that the first one has. Who knows when we'll get a second part to this, because they're saying that this might be like a 10-year thing. Hopefully it's not a 10-year thing that they're trying to do. Hopefully we get a new part soon. Hopefully we get more stuff, because I really did enjoy this game overall. Is this game better than the original? I'm gonna say yes and no, just because this is a completely different story now. They're bringing back characters that have died. They're bringing back stuff. They're changing stuff. So honestly, right now, I can't say that one is better than the other. Right now, I think they're about equal. I really enjoyed both of them as their own game. So I can't really say one's better than the other, because the remake hasn't finished. So I can't really say for sure if one is better than the other. And now it's time for me to give the final verdict to Final Fantasy VII Remake. This game is masterclass, honestly. This game was so much fun. I loved the combat. The combat was just perfect. It was a lot of fun switching between characters. It was a lot of fun reminiscing on the old game. Like, it was a lot of fun for me to just explore the game, because in the original you can't really explore. In this one you can just explore everything. You can look at every detail. You can see how they're able to upgrade the graphics and bring something that was made in like the late 90s into the new generation of games. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience overall. So my final verdict for Final Fantasy VII Remake is a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent game. You should go freaking try this out. You don't even have to play the original game for you to enjoy this. You can just play this on its own, or maybe just play the original and then play this one to see the difference. But honestly, you can do either or, because both of them are absolutely great and both of them are worth a try. I will do a review on the original one. I don't know when I have to get footage for that, because I played it on an emulator. So I might maybe push the review for the original one back a bit, but who knows. I will try my best. But anyways, just go freaking try this game out. This is a PlayStation exclusive, so sorry PC players, Xbox players. If you can freaking get a chance to play this game, I say freaking go for it, because it's freaking awesome, this game. But anyways, go try this out. I think right now, I don't know if it's on sale right now. It's probably not on sale. But you can either get the base version on PS4, which is like, I think it's still $60 now, or you can get the PS5 version if you have one. I know it's hard to get a PS5, but if you're able to get one, I'd say get the Intergrade version, because the Intergrade version comes with the Yuffie episode, which is $20, and it should be $70, so it comes in anyways. But anyways, just go freaking buy this game. Just go get it, like now. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments, or if you're on the podcast version of this, message me at cervera.guillermo, or you can check me out on Twitch. I stream occasionally here and there. The Twitch handle is Real Rick Manica. I'll leave it in the description as always. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully I'll be able to crank these out as soon as I can, because as I mentioned before, school takes a lot of my time, so hopefully I try to release these every 2 weeks, hopefully, or whenever I'm ready, because I won't stop making these, because these are a lot of fun to make. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys next time on Did You Get the Memo? Bye bye.